February 26, 1959. A search party climbs a frozen slope in the northern Ural Mountains. They are looking for 9 missing students. What they find instead is a tent, half buried in snow, collapsed on one side. The tent is cut open, not from the outside, from the inside. Boots are still there. Coats are still there. Food is still there. The people who lived in this tent are not. Whatever happened here happened fast. Fast enough that 9 experienced hikers left behind almost everything that could have kept them alive and walked out into a night that was 30 degrees below zero. Some of them never got far. Some of them were found more than 400 meters away, in the trees. Some were not found for months. This is the story of what is known, and what has never been explained, about the deaths on Kholat Shachol, a mountain whose name, in the language of the local Mansi people, means dead mountain. In late January 1959, a group of 10 set out from the city of Sverdlovsk, in the Soviet Union. Most were students or recent graduates of the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They were experienced. This was not their first winter expedition. Several held intermediate hiking certifications, and the trip was designed to earn the group's leader, Igor Dyatlov, a Grade 3 certification, the highest awarded in Soviet amateur mountaineering at the time. The plan was ambitious but not reckless. Ski roughly 300 kilometers through the northern Urals, summit 2 peaks, including Otorten, and return within about 3 weeks. One member turned back early due to illness. The remaining 9 continued. They were, by every account that survives, diaries, photographs recovered later from their cameras, in good spirits. Photographs show them clowning around campsites, building a snow shelter, skiing in formation. There is no evidence of conflict within the group, no evidence of a plan that deviated from the ordinary. On January 31st, they began ascending toward a pass between 2 mountains. Bad weather and dropping visibility forced them to descend slightly and lose elevation they had gained. Diary entries from that day describe worsening wind and cold. On February 1st, they made a decision that would later draw enormous scrutiny. Rather than retreat to the tree line, where firewood and shelter were available, they pitched their tent on the open slope of Kholat Shachol. Some researchers have argued this was to avoid losing elevation again the next morning. Whatever the reasoning, it placed 9 people, that night, in the most exposed position of the entire trip. They were due to send a telegram confirming their safe return by February 12th. When no telegram came, no one was alarmed right away. Delays were common. It was not until February 20th that a search operation was formally launched. On February 26th, a search team found the tent. What they documented, and what has been verified through the original case file, is this. The tent was pitched on the open slope, oriented with its entrance facing downhill. It was partially collapsed under snow. Skis had been used to anchor it, standard practice for that terrain. The tent fabric had been cut open from the inside, in more than one place. Inside, the group's belongings were largely intact. Food, matches, tobacco, and most significantly, nearly all of the group's outerwear, boots, hats, coats. In the extreme cold of the Urals in February, leaving a tent without these was not a casual decision. Footprints led away from the tent, downhill, toward the tree line more than a kilometer away. Investigators counted between 8 and 9 sets of tracks. Some showed evidence of bare or only sock-covered feet. None showed evidence of a struggle at the tent site itself. Near the tree line, searchers found the remains of a fire, and near it, the bodies of 2 hikers, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko. Both were partially dressed. Both showed signs consistent with hypothermia. Further up the slope, between the fire and the tent, 3 more bodies were found in the following days. Igor Dyatlov, the group's leader, Zenaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin. Their positions suggested they had died individually, at different points, apparently attempting to climb back toward the tent. The remaining 4, Nikolai Thibault Brignoles, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Zolotaryov, and Alexander Kolovatov, were not found until May, when the snow had begun to melt. Their bodies were located in a ravine under several meters of snow, some distance from the fire site. Here, the case moves from a story of exposure to something the official record itself struggled to explain. The first 5 bodies found showed injuries consistent with hypothermia, and, in Slobodin's case, a skull fracture that investigators concluded was not fatal on its own. The 4 bodies recovered in May told a different story. Dubinina and Zolotaryov had severe chest fractures. Thibaut Brignol had a major skull fracture. The Soviet medical examiner who conducted the autopsies stated that the force involved was comparable to that of a car crash, but found no external wounds, bruising, or soft tissue damage consistent with a blunt force blow. Dubinina was also missing her tongue, eyes, part of her lips, and facial tissue, along with a piece of skull bone. Some clothing recovered from the ravine bodies was later found to carry elevated levels of radioactivity, according to a supplementary examination conducted after the initial autopsies. The Soviet inquiry, led by prosecutor Lev Ivanov, closed the case in May 1959. Its official conclusion stated only that the hikers died as a result of a compelling natural force, a phrase that explained nothing and has driven speculation for more than 60 years. The full case file was sealed and not made publicly available until decades later. What follows are the leading explanations that have been proposed. None has been proven beyond reasonable dispute. Each accounts for some of the evidence, and each leaves questions unanswered. The avalanche hypothesis. In this account, a slab of snow slid down onto or near the tent, forcing the group to cut their way out and flee without proper clothing, then attempt to return once the danger passed. A 2021 study using modeling techniques adapted from the automotive industry argued that a small, delayed slab avalanche was physically plausible on that slope, even without visible avalanche debris by the time searchers arrived weeks later. Critics note that the tent showed no crushing damage consistent with snowslide, and that the injuries to the 4 bodies in the ravine are difficult to explain through this model alone. Paradoxical undressing. In advanced stages of hypothermia, the body can produce a sensation of intense heat, causing victims to remove clothing even as their core temperature drops further. This is a documented phenomenon in hypothermia deaths and would help explain why some hikers were found partially undressed. It does not, on its own, explain the traumatic chest and skull injuries found in the 4 bodies recovered later, nor the tissue loss on Dubinina's face. Injuries some experts attribute instead to the months the bodies spent in a stream at the base of the ravine, exposed to meltwater and decomposition. Military or weapons testing involvement. This theory points to the radioactivity found on some clothing, the closure and sealing of the case file, and the region's proximity to restricted military activity in the Soviet Union, to suggest the hikers may have encountered a weapons test, or that the investigation was constrained by classified information. No declassified document has confirmed a test in that specific location on that date, and no debris or explosion evidence was recorded at the site. Proponents argue the absence of such evidence is itself consistent with a cover-up. Skeptics argue it is simply the absence of evidence. Other proposed explanations: infrasound-induced panic, a Mansi confrontation with the group, katabatic. Wind events have each been raised and each face similar gaps. They can account for parts of the evidence, but not all of it together. 65 years later, the tent has been examined more times than perhaps any single piece of physical evidence in Soviet criminal history. The forensic reports have been reread. The weather data has been remodeled. The Mansi hunting patterns, the terrain slope, the metallurgy of the case's few recovered artifacts, all of it studied, argued over, published, disputed. And still, no single account fits all 9 deaths. Maybe that is because no single event caused them. That what happened on Kholat Shekel was not one catastrophe but a chain of decisions and consequences, each one narrowing the group's options until there were none left. Or maybe the truth is simpler than the mystery has become, and it is still sitting somewhere in a file nobody has read closely enough. What is certain is only this: 9 people left a tent in the middle of the night, in temperatures that could kill within hours, and some of them never stop trying to get back to it.